A chilling warning from a 20-year federal prosecutor who was just fired by the Trump regime. This individual by the name of Michael P. Ben Ari, a federal prosecutor out of the Eastern District of Virginia, talks about how the Trump regime is sacrificing national security to purge Donald Trump's perceived adversaries. This is the lead prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia, who's prosecuting the case regarding the terrorists at Abbey Gate, the location where the terrorists attacked the airport in Afghanistan during America's exit in 2021. America was able to extradite one of the alleged masterminds from Pakistan. And this individual is being prosecuted out of the Eastern District of Virginia, which I've mentioned before is one of the major office that handles these terrorism prosecutions based on its location. And Michael P. Ben Ari, one of the best in the business, he would have had to report to now Donald Trump's former personal lawyer, now the purported head of the Eastern District of Virginia, Lindsay Halligan, who's never been a federal prosecutor before. You'll recall that she was placed as the main interim United States attorney there so that she could get the prosecution of Donald Trump's adversary, or Donald Trump hates, Donald Trump's former FBI director, James Comey. But, Michael P. Ben Ari is one of these, just boots on the ground, head down, federal prosecutor, 20 years of experience, just trying to do hard work. He scotch-taped his warning to his office right after he was fired. Now, he was fired by Trump because a right-wing blogger posted that he had prior connections to the former deputy attorney general Donald Trump absolutely despises. You'll recall that Donald Trump posted recently that he wants Microsoft to fire her. She's got a top position over there after it was flagged by another right-wing blogger that she was working at Microsoft. So because this guy back in the day had some connection, and fairly tenuous too, to Lisa Monaco, then he must go, he must be fired in the middle of his prosecution of this terrorist who killed 13 U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan. Let me just show you this letter right here that Michael Ben Ari posted to his door when he was fired. To my Eastern District of Virginia colleagues, you may have heard that Wednesday was my last day after nearly 20 years of serving as a career employee at the Justice Department. This news may have come as a surprise to you, as it did to me, when I received a letter stating that I had been terminated immediately without cause. It appears that my termination was based on little more than a single social media post containing false information. I am disappointed to leave behind a national security and public safety mission that I truly believed in. I am even more disappointed to see what is happening to this office and the Department of Justice in just a few short months. The decisions to remove experienced career officials from U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, and other critical parts of the DOJ undermines our country's ability to counter terrorist organizations, malign nation-state actors, and countless others that seek to harm our nation and its citizens. I am proud of the work that I have done on behalf of the American people. I am humbled to have assisted the victims of crime and their families in assuring that criminal justice systems provided a measure of closure. I am troubled that I was removed so abruptly in the middle of important work, including the prosecution of Mohammed Sharifullah, the only person to face justice in the United States for the bombing of the Abbey Gate of the Hamid Karzai International Airport. The prosecution was meant to bring justice to the 13 United States service members and scores of civilians killed and injured. While I have the utmost confidence in my co-counsel, my abrupt, apparently thoughtless removal with no period of transition will hurt the case. This example highlights the most troubling aspect of the current operations of the Department of Justice. The leadership is more concerned with punishing the president's perceived enemies than they are with protecting our national security. Justice for Americans killed and injured by our enemies should not be contingent on what someone in the Department of Justice sees in their social media feed for that day. I took an oath to our Constitution, as did each of you, and it remains your responsibility to uphold that oath in the work that you do. It is the oath that requires you to follow the facts and the law wherever they lead, free from fear or favor and unhindered by political interference. In recent months, the political leadership of the department have violated these principles, jeopardizing our national security and making American citizens less safe. During my nearly 2 decades of service to the department, I have proudly served under attorney generals installed by both political parties. But my service has never been to any political party or individual official. I have always served the United States of America. This is the type of public service that each America should expect from government officials. While I am no longer your colleague, I ask each of you to continue to do the right thing in the right way for the right reasons. Follow the facts and the law. Stand up for what we all believe in, our Constitution and the rule of law. Our country depends on you. Michael P. Ben Meiselas. Let me turn it over to Harry Litman, host of the Talking Feds YouTube channel, Talking Feds podcast, and Talking Feds Substack. Harry, sorry, I had to read that whole letter because it was such a powerful letter. And I don't just want to give it a summary. I wanted people to really hear these words of a career prosecutor in the middle of very serious prosecutions who was fired because of something that went on a social media feed that's not even really true. Break it down for us, Harry.
Cataclysmic and, completely nuts. And he makes the point again and again that who gets hurt here so that Trump's ultimate revenge fantasies and their fantasies can be satisfied. And it's how many, it's a great Department of Justice. How many people do you think are really qualified to prosecute the highest, worst terrorists in the country? A handful. And that one of them is just locked off casually like this, without concern for the consequences. It is just, head bending for everyone in the department. Let me do a little also reading between the lines. First, to me, Ben, there were many places kept talking about facts and law and our Constitution's duty, and said right out the administration has betrayed it. I know that division. I don't know him that well, but you're not talking about wild-eyed bomb throwers. If he's saying that, that is the view within that office, and that's going to matter a lot because that's the office that's brought the Comey prosecution. But the way they have ravaged the Department of Justice, a third of all leadership is gone. And the way it works, of course, in any good office, there are a few people who you really look to, who really inculcate the culture and the like, and they're just boom, gone. And very important divisions, public integrity, are just completely gone as well. And all for what's very clear illegitimate reasons. The worst, I think, what Trump seems to have thought, and he's not even sure, he says it's a false social media, but to imagine that this was the basis. But what he seems to, his great sin for being fired was once being counsel to Lisa Monaco, the Deputy Attorney General. And let me just explain, it's so ignorant on Trump's part. He once was in the office of Lisa Monaco, who, by the way, was a completely professional, solid Deputy Attorney General. But when a deputy comes in and assembles their staff, you need certain subject matter experts in certain things, like, for example, terrorism law. You look around the department and find someone who's really good. They're brought in for a stretch while you're there in total professional reasons. They are not political folks. They're just there to advise because they're the top of the charts on terrorism. So they've taken someone who is apolitical, top of the charts on terrorism, and just fired him for completely, not just wrong, but idiotic reasons. But the thing that really comes through that letter is just, these accusations, part of like what I've been saying about Comey, they're so basic. They're so that they are, breathtakingly violating the Constitution and norms. But more than that, They're just hurting everyone by making the North Star of everything the Department of Justice does. How can we satisfy Donald Trump's petty political interests? This is the kind of letter that has huge repercussions in the Eastern District of Virginia, but across the country. And, I can only imagine, I have a sense of it, but the kind of state of morale, knowing that the leadership here is only about, they don't care about you heard him say very clearly, and it is what people think. You're there to protect the American people and redress victims and all these important things. And you have a leadership that not only doesn't care about it, but they countermand and fire people because they want them instead to keep their eye on the ball, that ball being Donald Trump's political interests. This is all just, kryptonite within any kind of professional office. It's just antithetical to everything that everyone was trained to be and their sense of pride as a assistant U.S. attorney, not to mention that it's just completely losing the confidence of judges, losing the confidence of juries, losing the ability to just advocate hard under the facts and law. Did you hear that phrase, facts and law? That's what I came back to again and again with Comey. That's his way of saying, you guys don't even care about whether facts and law. That's what our watchword here. And, for you, your watchword is politics. So everything he says is right. But the fact of the letter and some of the reading between the lines of the letter is the sort of thing that throughout the 100,000 plus lawyers in the Department of Justice, people have to be holding leadership in contempt.
And this is exactly what the FBI agents who sued top Driscoll and Evans, they all said, why are you so focused on Twitter? And you're so focused on X and social media platforms and what somebody's posting in a given day. Like, we're career FBI agents. You got to let us do our job. And, when I look at the letter that was posted by Ben Meiselas, it was like, these Laura Loomers, these right-wing troll accounts that in the past, were previously banned for inappropriate conduct before the Elon era. They write about you and Trump sees it or Bondi sees it because they live on Twitter. You're out. No matter what your professional, whether it's true or not true, it doesn't matter. You get a termination letter. Harry, I want to tell everybody to subscribe to your Talking Feds YouTube channel. Just search Talking Feds. Harry Litman runs the Talking Feds Substack, and Harry Litman runs the Talking Feds podcast. Thanks, Harry.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.